What a random list of topics that have come up that we got to talk about today on Trending in the AM. We're going to talk Flyers. I wanted to talk Flyers, but then the Carter Hart news breaks. Doc Rivers is back to coaching the Milwaukee Bucks. Reese Hoskins finally is officially no longer a Philly. The Eagles interview Cliff Kingsbury for their offensive coordinator position. Like, the topics are all over the place today. Bill Matz will be joining us in about 15, 20 minutes to talk Flyers. Trending in the AM, taking your thoughts and opinions on all the topics of the day. We're live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live all over social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know the drill. Hit those like and share and retweet, follow buttons, subscribe buttons. You do that for me and get your comments and opinions in as we've got a jam-packed show with lots of topics, not even all of them in the description of the show. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel, every single morning here at Beard and Knowledge on all the social media. If I'm on it, you can find me there. And we got lots to talk. First, yesterday, I scheduled Scotty to come on, and it just so happens Joel Embiid dropped 70 the night before. Today, I've got Bill Matz from PHLY Flyers coverage team coming on here in a little bit to talk Flyers. And, of course, we've got the Carter Hart news, the Carter Hart leave of absence, whatever you want to call it, for unknown reasons, but I'm sure we'll learn soon what those reasons are to an extent. You got Doc Rivers coming out of the broadcast booth all ready to coach the Milwaukee Bucks, who, for some reason, already fired their head coach. Reese Hoskins signed with the Milwaukee Brewers, one of my favorite Phillies of the last 5 to 10 years. Gone officially from the red pinstripes. Knew it was coming, but it is what it is. And of course, the Eagles, Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman are going to speak today to the media. I'm sure we won't learn much from them, but what I will say is the list of candidates they're interviewing for coordinator positions continues to grow, continues to lengthen, as officially Brian Johnson is now no longer with us, and they dropped the name Cliff Kingsbury into the coordinator, circle of names that they've already reached out to. It's a long list of things to talk about today. It really is. And when I wanted to start off and give the positivity of the Flyers, obviously the Carter Hart news, he's taking a leave of absence. And I don't even know a lot about the situation with Carter Hart. Duck saying right from the get-go, Flyers are probably playing the best hockey they have in over 5 years. What does that mean? Who knows? And one of the questions I was going to ask Bill when he joins us, and we'll see if we have time when he gets on here, is about they're in a rebuild and whether they should be sellers or buyers. This year was not meant to be the Flyers' year. They weren't even meant to be a playoff team. But John Tortorella's got this group playing well together. Should they be sellers or buyers at the deadline? They planned on being sellers, but they might need to be buyers, or they might need to be both. I don't know. But again, the Carter Hart news is kind of the one that's kind of looming over Flyers Nation's head right now because they don't know what's going on. Is there just something wrong with him? I mean, he's missed a lot of time with illnesses this year. Is it the Canadian Junior World Hockey Team issues that are causing him to take a little time off? I don't know. It's very, very, very sticky situation when Flyers land right now. Mitchie Poo, what is up, my man? Mitchie and his basketball fandom. Love to know what he thinks of the Milwaukee Bucks firing their head coach this part of the season. When the Milwaukee Bucks are 30-13 and they fire, they fire their coach Adrian Griffin. Just shocking, completely surprising. You trade away one of the best defensive players on the team and in the league, and you move on to Dame Lillard, and then your coach goes out there and coaches them to a really damn good record. But I guess it's not good enough. So they cut him already. And of all people, they do it for Doc Rivers. What are the odds? What are the odds? I know a lot of Sixers Nation is out there saying that Doc Rivers is finally going to get us out of the second round of the playoffs. What are the odds that Doc Rivers knocks us out? See, as Marshawn calls me, Negadelphian or Philadelphian or whatever he calls me, I've been hurt too many times. I just have by the Sixers team. So there will always be that little bit of doubt. So instead of thinking Doc Rivers is going to help us get past the second round, now he's coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. In my mind, Doc Rivers is going to knock us out of the second round of the playoffs now. I don't want to face Doc Rivers in the playoffs now. I mean, it's laughable. It's not just Doc Rivers. It's not just the Doc Rivers part of it that's laughable. It's the fact that they fired their coach who just, first off, you could say that the Milwaukee Bucks, what's going on with the Milwaukee Bucks is similar to what would happen to the Eagles if they moved on from Nick Sirianni already. Because they had Budenholzer, wins a championship and 2 years later is fired. Doug Peterson wins a Super Bowl, is fired. You bring in Nick Sirianni, he takes you to a Super Bowl, and there are people that are calling for Nick Sirianni's head. And I've discussed the pros and cons of that. But then you fire Boots, who just wins your title, and you move on to another guy, and you're already moving on from him again. Like, there's something wrong in the air in Milwaukee. And does it have anything to do with, Giannis Antetokounmpo? Is he the problem? I don't know. You trade away Drew Holiday for Dame Lillard and whatever. You wanted that's fine. Obviously, they were going to become less of a defensive team. I don't know. It's really crazy how it is all playing out there. And now that our best buddy, Doc Rivers, thank God we don't have to hear him calling a game again on ESPN, because I'm not a fan of the way he talks on the radio or on TV as a commentator. Is Doc Rivers, and they're like, they wanted to hire an experienced championship-winning head coach. And how many times in the last couple months, couple years, when Doc Rivers was here, that I said, he's still living off of his 2008 championship team. I've said it before. I don't think he's one of the 10 greatest coaches of all time, like some people put him. Had more failures than successes. But they made their bed and they have to sit in it or sleep in it now. It's crazy, the Milwaukee Bucks situation. And what does it mean for the Sixers? We spent a lot of time talking Sixers. That kind of a change. I'm sure there's people in that locker room that are not happy with that change. I'm sure there are some that are happy with it. Making a coaching change when you're 30-13 in the NBA, it's just shocking. And it makes the Sixers' path to a 2 seed or the playoffs on paper seem that much better. Excuse me. It really does, technically on paper, make the Sixers, path a little bit easier. It really does. But we'll see how that turns out. Terry Rozier getting traded to the Heat. I saw that. That happened right after or during yesterday's show, Mitch. I mean, it's funny because Scotty brought Terry Rozier's name up as an option, but not a good option for the Sixers, a redundant option for the Sixers. I don't think it does anything for the Sixers. I don't think it makes the Heat any better. Terry Rozier is an okay player, paid good player money. He's a gunner. He's a shooter. Will he help the Heat? Maybe. Honestly, I haven't really paid attention to the Heat this year much, outside of Spoelstra and his divorce and his extension, and the Heat waiting to pay him his extension until after his divorce. That's really the most I know about the Heat this year. Phil Denier, me on a guy. Like, I got you. I had half of the Core 12 watching golf last night. And it was a great golf episode. We talked more golf and less just straight gambling last night with this week's Farmers Insurance starting on a Wednesday versus a Thursday. I had everybody in talking golf last night. You, K1 with actual golf knowledge that he was dropping on the show. I love it. Check it out. Fairway to Heaven. It's on the PSN and my personal YouTube and Twitter pages, guys. He has similar stats to Damian Lillard. Who Terry Rozier? Terry Rozier is he's no Dame Lillard, but Dame Lillard ain't no Dame Lillard anymore either. Was he good? Who Terry Rozier? He was okay. Charlotte Hornets are a bad basketball team. They need to strip down and rebuild all over again, all over again. But man, we're all over the place this morning. We're only 10 minutes into the show. We've talked Sixers, golf, Flyers, and again, Rhys Hoskins is gone from the Phillies officially. We knew he wasn't coming back. Unless nobody signed him, maybe you brought him back on a cheap deal. He signed a 2-year, $34 million deal with the Milwaukee Brewers. And Rhys Hoskins is a name that is synonymous with criticism in Philadelphia. All over social media today, now that Rhys Hoskins is gone, all you hear is, oh, I'm going to miss Rhys, and good luck, Rhys, in your new thing, and maybe you come back, and all the outpouring of Phillies Nation just thanking Rhys Hoskins for his time. It's the same Phillies Nation that badmouthed and trashed Rhys Hoskins nonstop. Get this bum off our team. He can't play first base. He sucks. He's this or that. Rhys Hoskins, I was one of the few that defended him on a regular basis. You knew exactly what you're going to get from Rhys Hoskins every year. About 30 home runs, 28, 30 home runs, 75 to 85 RBIs, an 800 OPS, some walks, some strikeouts, and some errors. But great team leadership and a penchant for the clutch, as we saw in 2022 in the playoffs. With some of his clutch home runs, he had 6, 7 home runs in that playoff run. That's what you got with him. And I saw the value in it. And I was always a supporter of Rhys. And I know his playoff run in 2022 was amazing. But I still remember his rookie year in 2017 when he came up and took the league by storm, hitting home runs every single night. It was kind of like a turning point in Phillies Nation's trajectory. It's where the tide started to change to the positive. 2019, you bring in Bryce Harper, and then all things change. But that rookie season for Rhys Hoskins was something special in 2017. And he only played 50 games. He still finished in the top 5, I think, in Rookie of the Year voting. But he is officially gone. And it just irks me, Eagles Nation, Phillies Nation, Sixers Nation. They bash and badmouth players nonstop. And then when they're gone, oh, we're going to miss you. Why couldn't you stay? That always irks me about. It's one thing about Philadelphia sports fans that always irk me. You want to badmouth people nonstop. But then when you lose them, you cry me a river that it's sad to see that you're sad to see them go. Or it's all the people that kept their mouth shut and didn't stand up for Rhys Hoskins or a specific player in Philadelphia. And when they're gone, they're like, oh, now's the time to come out and talk. It's crazy. It really is. I know Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods, we're 3 weeks away from Genesis, Battlehawk. 3 weeks in Fairway to Heaven. We will be talking Tiger Woods because he will be in the event at Genesis at Riviera Country Club, one of his favorite places to play. We will get to talk about them. All your garbage coordinators are fired now. Yes, all the Eagles are assistant coach lists right now. Here's another news. All the names that keep popping up that Howie and Nick are reaching out to. And then yesterday, news breaks that the Eagles reached out to Cliff Kingsbury. Oh, my God. Cliff Kingsbury on the sidelines calling plays for the Eagles. The one good thing about it would be his system, not Nick Sirianni. The problem is his system is even more drab and bland, more RPO, more shotgun, more pass happy than Nick Sirianni said he forced Brian Johnson to run. Brian Johnson had to go. It is what it is. It's crazy. He's not actually going to probably end up with a head coaching job like everybody assumed he would. Will Brian Johnson be an offensive coordinator somewhere next year? Probably not. Maybe he would be a quarterback coach. Maybe a team with a young quarterback or somebody that drafts a young quarterback hires him to be their quarterback coach next year. Very, very possible. Yes, we talk a little baseball here. Baseball season's close. We're less than 4 weeks. I think we're about 3.5 weeks till pitchers and catchers report. I can't wait for baseball season. I love baseball season. You guys know I love my Phillies. Rookie of the Year is a movie. It is a movie. It's a damn good movie. Paddle boat on D. There are a lot of fingers pointing to Ron Rivera to be the defensive coordinator of this team. And I said that Ron Rivera was probably not a good option or a good choice because he kind of fit into that mold like Doc Rivers. I thought he needed a break. He looked burned out. Someone reminded me, maybe he's not burned out. Maybe it was just being in Washington that made him look like that. He does have connections. Obviously, he was a defensive coordinator or a linebackers coach or something. He was a linebacker coach here back in the day under Jim Johnson. So maybe people have convinced me that Ron Rivera would be a good veteran coordinator to hire. You know, I mean, our best defensive coordinators were the ones that had some. Jim Schwartz won us a Super Bowl, and he was a former head coach. So I don't know. Maybe it's okay. Maybe it's not. I'm not sure. Cliff, man, I just don't know. What do you think of the Kingsbury being interviewed? I don't know. I mean, on one hand, he was the coach of Patrick Mahomes. He helped create, to an extent, Patrick Mahomes in college, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time already, with barely any weapons. It was a special type of spread offense. If you want less RPOs and more under center, Cliff Kingsbury isn't the man for you. He is going to run a spread offense with Jalen Hurts in shotgun with RPOs nonstop. Can Jalen Hurts spread the ball around enough to run Cliff? Because the answer to Cliff Kingsbury, the answer to any offensive coordinator interview and whoever they eventually hire, the answer's got to be, will they be able to utilize Jalen Hurts' weapon or skill set the most, Duck? And here's the thing. There's rumors PFF put out something yesterday that the Eagles need to start thinking about moving on from Jalen Hurts or trading him now while his value's at its highest. It's an asinine thing from PFF. And there's a reason why people crush PFF all the time. He's not going anywhere, Jalen Hurts. He can't and he shouldn't. There's no reason to even consider or contemplate that topic of trading Jalen Hurts. Will Cliff Kingsbury be able to get the most out of Jalen Hurts? That's my question. And I don't know if him having to be in a pass-happy offense where he's got to pass, spread the ball, read a defense, all the things that he does that are not his strengths is the way to go. I don't know. But again, Patrick Mahomes was not this, 5-star recruit, top recruit in college. Nobody's being traded, George. Nobody. But can Cliff Kingsbury get, there's all these names, Frank Reich, Cliff Kingsbury. We see all the names that are being interviewed, which Frank Reich hasn't been interviewed yet, supposedly. I think I read a report yesterday. He hasn't even been reached out to yet, which is odd to me, that at the very least that Nick Sirianni hasn't called him up and said, yo, what are your thoughts? Before we even bring you in officially for an interview. It's odd. You need somebody that is going to maximize Jalen Hurts, without a doubt. That paddle boat stink. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not saying he's my top choice. I'm saying people are giving me reasons to have faith that maybe paddle boat Ron can turn back into riverboat Ron. Why can't Brian Johnson get a head coaching job? Sirianni never did a great job as offensive coordinator of the Colts. Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. I'm not saying he can't get a job. I'm saying it doesn't seem like he is going to be getting a job. He's been on multiple interviews for multiple teams. Some teams didn't even bring him in. They did him virtually, his interview. So when you're doing a virtual interview, to me, that tells me you're not really that serious about a candidate. And I don't know if anybody knows this. I read somewhere that so everyone keeps saying, well, Brian Johnson is just the Rooney Rule interview. Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Rooney Rule interview that you have to do does not count when it's a virtual. So the two teams he interviewed with, which I forget which ones they were, via Zoom or whatever teams use these days, whichever virtual interview they do, that doesn't count. So I don't know what the deal is and what's holding up Brian Johnson because last year, coming into this year, he was one of the top candidates and he's just not getting it. So where some people might say, well, it was Nick Sirianni's fault. Maybe some people are listening to him in interviews and realizing maybe part of the problems this year with the Eagles was Brian Johnson. It's very important you get the right OC that can build quarterbacks or you're going to lose. Yeah, exactly. You got to pick somebody. It's almost like I hate when players in all sports have so much say in coaches and play and whatnot and free agent signings and stuff like that. But you kind of got to ask Jalen Hurts, what kind of offense coordinator do you want us to get? And kind of because you're connected to him. Maybe not for the next 10 years, but you're connected to Jalen Hurts for at a minimum 2 more years. Frank Reich does not think as an offensive coordinator, but maybe as a head coach. If Bieniemy can't get a job when McDaniels gets multiple chances, just crappy way. That's a fair point. I mean, Bieniemy's got his off the field issues, so some of that plays into it for sure, in my opinion. But McDaniels, too many opportunities for sure, without a doubt. I saw somebody suggest Josh McDaniels as Eagles offensive coordinator. I'm like, oh. They do love their Patriots guys in Philly. Makes no difference who the OC is if it's still Nick's offense. Exactly. And what is the point of keeping Nick if you aren't going to run Nick's offense? Well, because you're going to tell him to be a delegator and a leader. You're going to tell him to be more like Dan Campbell, Mike Tomlin, Pete Carroll, guys that have some influence but are more delegators. And he is a leader. He is, there are plenty of Eagles players that have stood up and said that they like Nick Sirianni as the head coach. But he still hasn't lost the complete control of the locker room. You want guys that you want Nick to feel comfortable with whoever the OC and DC is, to trust them to run what they want to do. But back to this first, not this, where was it? This one here. The first line of this, if it's very important you get the OC right. It's why I keep saying that this offseason for the Eagles might be the most important offseason for the Eagles in a decade, in multiple decades. Maybe since Jeffrey Lurie bought this team, this right here might be the most important offseason because you have a Super Bowl window. After this year, some people think it's slipping away a little bit, but it's still open. Getting the right offensive coordinator, getting the right defensive coordinator this offseason is brutally important to get the window back open completely. Frank Reich has that Panthers $35 million contract, so it's complicated to be our offensive coordinator. It is complicated. And he could just sit back and take a break. He's another guy. Went right from playing, right into coaching, never had a break. Sometimes I feel coaches in all sports, especially the ones that play, sometimes they need a break. Being a coach of a professional sports team, it's an intense job. It's an exhausting job. Sometimes a break is important for these guys. And maybe Frank Reich wants a break. He's got that money coming in. Brian Johnson interviewed with the Panthers and Titans. Who else did? Are you saying Bieniemy or Brian Johnson or McDaniel? Who? I know Brian Johnson's interviewed. Titans hired somebody. I forget the name now yesterday. So they're off. He interviewed for 3 teams. 2 virtually, twice, and 1 other team in person. I see the league holding Johnson in higher regard than Eagles fans are. Reminds me of the Gannon situation. It absolutely does. But the fact that Gannon got the job, and it seems like Brian Johnson is at the bottom of a lot of people's lists now instead of at the top of their list. Not like teams are fighting over Brian Johnson. They're interviewing him, but some of the teams aren't even bringing him in. So to me, that tells me, it's okay. Stop. I don't even want to hear people say trade Hurts to Chicago. Stop. No. But I do like the second part of it, Caleb Williams and Cliff Kingsbury, keeping them linked together. Sure, maybe. Maybe, I guess. I don't buy the Caleb Williams hype train. I think he's got an immaturity issue beyond belief. Caleb Williams would get eaten alive in a city like Philadelphia. And I'm no Justin Fields super fan, I don't think he's this elite quarterback or ever could be this elite quarterback. But let me tell you something. If Chicago moves on from him already, that's a problem. I think it's a big mistake. I think you've got to give him some consistency and a strong. Yeah, you know what? Brian Johnson, if he doesn't get a head coaching job, Chicago would be a perfect place for him to be the quarterback coach or offensive coordinator with. It would be smart of them to reach out to Brian Johnson, to bring them on staff, to see what he could do with Justin Fields. That would be the smart decision. The rash decision would be trading Justin Fields and drafting Caleb Williams, number one. Give me Bieniemy and Leslie Frazier. I like the name Leslie Frazier. I don't have a problem with Eric Bieniemy as our offensive coordinator. Somebody said he's still technically under contract with Washington. At least they said that last week. I don't know if that changed this weekend. If you want the Eagles to run the ball more, Eric Bieniemy is not the guy for you, Dave. He passes the ball more than anybody. Now, he does utilize his running backs out of the backfield more than we did this past year. But Eric Bieniemy is going to 65 to 35 pass to run, which would fit exactly what Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman would do. No trade. Hurts would not want Chicago. Exactly. And that's the other thing with the trade of Jalen Hurts. And I know George always reminds me of this. He does have a full no trade clause. So if you are going to move on from Jalen Hurts ever, he's got to be fully on board with it, wherever it may be. So that makes things. His contract doesn't make things, dollar wise, a problem. It's that no trade clause. You would not get a first for Hurts. Stop. You'd get multiple first rounds for Jalen Hurts. Wasn't Bieniemy's last problem 22 years ago? Yes. His sexual harassment problems was when he was in college. When Peyton Manning sexually harassed an athletic trainer, which I'm saying, yeah, I mean, the standards on this kind of stuff are all over the place. And it's not like Bieniemy's been kicked out of football because of his problems. He still has had really solid jobs. The problem is the head coach is like one of the two faces of the franchise. And a lot of teams don't want the face of the franchise to have that stigma. Now, if he works for the franchise, it's one thing. But if he's the head coach, it's another, again, different standards, for sure, for different people. Is Hurts better than Zach? Zach who? Zach, yes. But Zach, I don't know who Zach is. I think you could get a first this year. I fear you won't be able to get a fourth by the end of 2025. I hope you're wrong, George. And if you're wrong on Jalen Hurts, I'm not going to rub it in your face. I'm just going to tell myself, thank God he was wrong on Jalen Hurts. But you've been adamant in your opinions on Jalen Hurts since day one, and I applaud you for sticking by it. And you would only go about 80% all in on Jalen Hurts even after last year. I applaud you for your consistency with your opinion on a player. And I know you'll admit you were wrong. We both admit it. We were wrong on Carson Wentz. I get that. Brian Johnson interview with those teams. Titans, Falcons was the other team. There you go. Falcons, I don't know what's going on with the Falcons, Really thought they would have Bill Belichick locked up by now. Double standards in the sports, never. Yeah, exactly. Double standards in sports, celebrities, everything. It's ridiculous. If someone hires you for 3+ years, work at $35 million, and they fire you right away, why? Would you be mad? I would be very happy sitting on my couch collecting that $35 million. I really would. But eventually, I'd probably get the itch. It's like if I decide to quit doing the morning show, quit doing YouTube shows altogether because of whatever. Eventually, I would get the itch to want to come back. I wouldn't be able to stay away from you. I skipped 2 shows on vacation. I'm itching to come back already. Caleb Williams is not going to work out. Hurts is better. 100%. I bet you Chris Simpleton puts him on his top 40 quarterback list ahead of Jalen Hurts next year, though. Guarantee that's a thing. I'm not naive, just pointing out it sucks. Also, double standards in life. Yeah, I mean, I think we're all on the same page. There's some unnecessary double standards in some things like that. In 3 years, Fields will be a top 15 quarterback. Well, he's already been in the league for how many years? And top 15 ain't getting you shit. He's probably right in that top 15 range right now, Justin Fields. I would put Justin Fields somewhere in that 12, 13 to 16 range right now. Frazier's a good defensive coordinator. He could be. The problem with these coordinators is that the Eagles are interviewing. Offensively, they have to be able to maximize Jalen Hurts. Defensively, they have to be able to put or adjust their schemes to what Howie does. And I said this about John again. What he does in Arizona is completely different than what he did in Philly. So obviously he was willing to adjust. Sean Desai, Matt Patricia wanted to run their ideas and schemes, but their schemes did not match the personnel. So you got to find coordinators that are going to match the personnel. So not only do they have to be on the same page with Nick Sirianni, they also have to get on the same page right away with Howie Roseman. And they've got to believe that they can work with Howie Roseman to develop a strong defense. And that's asking a lot. Have you noticed that Johnson Desai didn't get the same opportunity to grow into the position that Gannon and Steichen did? I do. And there's an argument to be made that keeping Brian Johnson and Sean Desai would have been smart to have a little consistency, give them time. I mean, 2021 was a good season, but it wasn't a great season. They were given time to develop. They were given time to adjust. They were given time to have Howie find the personnel that needed to continue to grow them as coordinators. Desai and Johnson, quick triggers on them. It really was. And Sean Desai probably was too quick of a trigger. And obviously, in hindsight, Patricia wasn't the right answer. But Brian Johnson, I don't know. I don't know what went wrong in the Brian Johnson thing. And obviously, there's a lot of Jalen Hurts rumors floating around about him, the leader, as well. And that's something that is concerning. The enemy at least runs short, quick throws and utilizes his tight end. Logan Thomas has a good year. Logan Thomas has been a great tight end under him. He's just had some injury issues. He does utilize quick throws. He does utilize his tight ends. He does spread the ball around. I would not be against Eric Bieniemy. I want to see them run the ball. I love old school football. But as long as the offense is moving the ball, I could care less what kind of offense they're running. As long as they're running an efficient, effective offense on a regular basis. That's all that matters to me. Thoughts on possibly trading AJ? I don't even want to read. I see the names and stuff like that. No. I don't want to move on from AJ Brown. AJ Brown is a top 6 or 7 wide receiver in football. Maybe in another year, you could talk about it. Devontae Smith will be on his rookie deal still this year, so you can still afford AJ. The only way I consider moving AJ Brown is if he starts demanding his extension now. He's still got 2 years left on his deal. I expect him next offseason to want an extension. But right now, there's no way I'm trading him. And Patrick Queen plus a first or second round pick, you're not getting Patrick Queen and a first round pick for AJ Brown. I mean, if that's what you're telling me, AJ Brown for Patrick Queen and a first round pick, sure. But that's asking a lot of a return for AJ Brown. I don't think you get that. I don't. And who's going to play wide receiver 1A, 1B opposite of Devontae Smith? I don't know. We have money this offseason. They're about $25 million under the cap, and there's a few quick moves. You know, restructuring or getting rid of Kevin Byard puts us up over 40. Like, there's money to be had on this team. There's extensions, there's restructures, and there's, James Bradbury post-June 1st cut saves you money. There's money on this team to spend this free agent offseason. You do got to upgrade Smitty's contract. You do got to upgrade Landon Dickerson's contract. You might have to upgrade Hassan Reddick. And if they can't upgrade Hassan Reddick, he's a trade candidate. And I don't know what that does to the cap by trading Hassan Reddick, but I would assume it saves you some money. There's money. But no, I'm not trading A.J. Brown at all. Hurts is a good quarterback with A.J. You take A.J. Yeah. Still, you got Devontae. Being the face of an organization is important, but Peyton is the face of the league. Yeah, that's fair. It's fair. Look, Ray Rice is getting inducted into the Baltimore Ravens Ring of Honor or whatever they call it. What does that say about standards? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Feel free to. I won't, because if you're wrong, we'll be celebrating another Super Bowl appearance. I won't have time to say you're wrong. I'm not one of those guys that says, "Oh, I was right, you were wrong." I'm not Jimmy. Okay, I don't like that style of doing things. Next year's make or break for Hurts. Yes. He hit a wall. I don't agree. But it is a make or break year for him. It's a make or break year for for Nick Sirianni as well. Trade Hurts and his homie Brian Johnson to Chicago, plus Hurts' sign to Jordan Brand. Now, stop. The fact that people are even buying into this stuff, it's stop. Dude, Hurts cares about one thing, winning. He is never going to say, yeah, exactly. That is one thing we can agree. Hurts does care about winning more than anything else. Chicago ain't the place. That's a dumpster fire of a city to play in for that organization. I would never quit. I would never quit. Phil quitting the morning show per PFF. Yeah. There. Yeah. Start that tweet and tag PFF in it. Create a bogus PFF account and tweet that out and see what happens. Any quarterback going to Chicago is going to have an uphill climb. Yeah. And Caleb Williams is going to fail in Chicago with the way they run their things. Depends what Phil's PFF rating. Yeah, what is my PFF YouTube content creating rating? That's the question. What grade would you give me per PFF for the work I do on the morning show? But you gotta say what the grade would be if you were PFF. Like PFF would either give me a 97.9 or give me a 28.2. It's no in between with them. I looked at your free agency list. I manically left. All your guys are free agents. No, all the guys that are free agents are all guys that don't matter that they come back. Hurts hit a wall. No, he did not hit a wall. Bill Dunn per sources. Yeah. If we get a vet OC or DC Sirianni, we'll have to let them build a new scheme. That may or may not include a large chunk of the Sirianni scheme. Yeah, the only thing, like I said, is Cliff Kingsbury, at least his scheme would be semi-similar in the sense that RPO and shotgun formations and stuff. Now he spreads the ball out a lot more. We don't have enough wide receivers for a Cliff Kingsbury scheme. Hurts cares about being successful and making a lot of money. Chicago's way bigger market than Philly. I don't know. Is Chicago a bigger sports market than Philly? Top 5 markets: LA, New York, Philly, Chicago, Boston. Where is Philly in that? I think they would be ahead of Chicago. It's LA and New York. They're your top 2. Then Boston, Philly, and Chicago, 3, 4, 5. I think it could go any way. Those 3, 4, and 5. And I don't think I'm missing anybody bigger than that. King Henry, no, we do not need to spend big on King Henry. We were about $28 million under the cap after the Kelsey restructure. And then, like I said, there's other ways around it. $14 million you could save with the Kevin Byard situation. It's like 5 or 6 with James Bradbury post June 1st. There's lots of ways around the cap. I don't worry about the cap, especially this year. I killed Ray. I killed a man, Rice, and yeah, Ray Rice. I mean, it's very bogus of Baltimore putting him in their ring of honor. The other reminder: Joel scored 70 points, and we'll be playing Jokic in Denver Saturday. Something. Look, we've tried very well. Now I don't know where Bill Matz is. He confirmed last night. I haven't seen him on Twitter yet today, so I'm still waiting. Still waiting for my man Bill Matz to join us to talk Flyers hockey here. Hopefully he jumps in at some point today. We've tried to bring other topics into the conversation this week, but somehow we're right back to the Philadelphia Eagles. I tried dabbling with a little Phillies and Reese Hoskins. I tried talking Sixers. You know, yeah, Joel beats 70 points, man. Special Saturday, must see TV. That game on Saturday, it is. I'll be bouncing between that and round 4 of the Farmers Insurance Open, but that's my golf degenerate gambling self talking. Philly is a top 5, and it is a top 5. Is it higher or lower than Chicago in that top 5? Chicago don't really care about football. They like the Bulls. Chicago's a football town. TMC for sure, without a doubt. Officially markets is New York, LA, Chicago, Philly, Dallas, Fort Worth. So Dallas Fort Worth is considered a bigger market than Boston, and Philly is below Chicago. I don't know. I'm not going to fact check you on that. But yeah, let's talk golf. See, I could say Hideki Matsuyama, Sahith Theegala. For some random reason, K1 was tuned in last night. The Fairway to Heaven, 9 p.m. on Tuesdays, right here, same channel you're watching this show. And he was shocked that I struggled not at all pronouncing awfully difficult golf names. Just goes to show that deep down inside, I'm a golf guy. I am a golf guy. I prefer to talk golf And on a side note, for all my trending in the AM fans, y'all know I'm not a live golf supporter. I don't support the Saudi involvement in golf. And it's ruined golf. PJ's ruined golf, but they've ruined golf by getting involved. The official Live Golf YouTube channel started a golf podcast just like 4 weeks ago, and they stole my fantasy golf podcast name. They now run a podcast called Fairway to Heaven, just like me. I've been doing Fairway to Heaven for 4 years. November 2020, Fairway to Heaven was born. And now they're gonna call their show Fairway to Heaven. I need everybody watching this show. Nobody's watching today. Only 20 of you watching right now. I need everybody watching this show to call out Live Golf for copying me. They owe me and Jason $50 million for name infringement rights. I never copyrighted the name, but whatever. They need to do something about that. Unacceptable behavior. Drafting Lane Johnson's replacement is this year's draft Rip Bijan Robinson per Philly source. We've got his replacement technically. Tagala. Yeah, Tagala. See? No, it's fun. There's a lot of cool names. I love saying Hideki Matsuyama, Sahith Tagala. I love saying their names. Xander Schauffele. We want golf. Hey, I love golf. There is no little content when it comes to the Phillies because it is still offseason. The Sixers are playing so well that there isn't much in the trade rumors with little or no. Yeah, I get that. We will be. I'm already thinking about who I'm going to bring on in the first week of February, second week of February as spring training gets underway. We will talk Phillies, spring training opening week for sure. And we'll get some great guests on here to talk that. But yeah, I get that. The baseball off season from January to from like mid-December to mid-February gets really boring. Philly downtown huge compared to Buffalo. Yeah. Only we're talking about the size of the city. 6th through 8th on market size. Houston, Atlanta, Boston's below Atlanta and Houston. Atlanta is the worst sports city in the world. The most boring sports town in the world. It might be known as Hotlanta for the nightlife. But man, Atlanta's a terrible sports town. Phil got drafted in the second round by Nicholas Steve. Is that it? Is that it? Outrageous. It is outrageous that they stole my name. Well, cease and desist. Y'all better send cease and desist to them. I've already had a few people that follow the golf show, blow up their feeds and their shows saying that they're stealing it. Y'all need to blow up their feeds. Flyers are playing well, but no drama there either right now. Well, there is drama in Flyerland with this Carter Hart news. I was hoping we'd have Bill Matz on by now. Hopefully he joins. He still hasn't even seen the link to join the show. Not sure what happened there. The Flyers had, the Flyers have the drama with Carter Hart. And I'd love to know what you guys think of the Carter Hart situation. I know some of you aren't Flyers fans. But if the rumors are true and he's asked for his leave of absence because of what happened with Team Canada, the junior Team Canada hockey team in 2018, his career could be over. I don't know how Canada handles their stuff, but their government's a little different than ours. But it's so crazy that this story has been swept under the rug by Canada and the NHL for so long. I barely knew about it. I had to read articles last night on the Carter Hart situation involved in some sexual, we're talking about Ray Rice, we're talking about Eric Bieniemy, Peyton Manning, and all the wrongs that they did. Carter Hart could be involved in a similar situation. And I'll be curious to see if that's why he took a leave of absence. And I'll also be curious to see what happens to his career if he's accused of something very serious. You don't need to copyright that or cease and desist. They just need to stop calling it that. Or they need to pay me. Chicago metropolitan area is 9 million people. Philly is 6. For some reason, I'm shocked by that. For some reason, I thought Chicago was a lot closer to size in Philly than that. I didn't realize there was that much big of a gap from Chicago and Philly. Sometimes I forget that Philly it's a big city, but it's a small big city to an extent. Atlanta is huge. Their market goes. Yeah, see, the thing is, when I say markets, when you guys are going by like numbers of people and stuff, which technically is what the radio markets and the media markets talk about. I'm thinking markets as in how many of those 9 million fans actually care in Chicago versus the 6 million in Philly. Atlanta, how many of their 4 or 5 million fans or people actually care or are fans? How many of them are just there? There's a lot of transplants from Atlanta. Live ruins everything. It does. Well, the Saudis ruin everything, but that's another old story. Nick Wright not convinced in Jalen Hurts. There's a lot of people not convinced in Jalen Hurts. I think you're all nuts, George included. You're all nuts. Canada's government is crazy. Dude, I've got quite a few friends that live in Canada from my times on cruise ships. Some of them transplants in Canada, some of them from Canada originally. And, very good friends, people that I care deeply about. Sean, love you, buddy. Um, Helen. But man, when I see their personal Facebook pages and what they post about the government, damn. We think we got it bad here in Philly, man, or in US, man. Just don't be moving to Canada, man. That's all I can tell you there, because it ain't good in Canada either. It's actually probably worse in Canada. Austin Watkins, Stallions wide receiver, who? Chicago is 1,000 times better. I've actually never been to Chicago. I've been to Boston. I've been to Atlanta. I've been to LA. I've been to New York. I've never been to Chicago. And I've always wanted to see a game at Wrigley Field, especially Phillies, Chicago. And I don't even want to be under the lights. I need it to be a day game in Chicago. I know they do night games down in Chicago. I've always wanted to be to Chicago. I've always wanted to go to Wrigley Field. I've always wanted to walk the streets and go bar hopping. Get a real authentic Chicago deep dish pizza. Boston is the 29th biggest city, 8th biggest sports market. Shows how popular sports are. Exactly. It is. Google Earth the downtown. I don't need to do that. Free agent Driscoll. I don't know what you're talking about. You just randomly put topics in the comments. Some of them mean nothing to what we're talking about. Nothing at all. But back on point. Back on the topics of today. And I'm very disappointed that I have not seen Bill Matz jump on here. I'm checking on a side page. I'm checking the checking. I'm checking to see. Checking to see if we've got anything from him and where he's at. I know he's out late doing the PHLY post game show last night for the Flyers, but read off the free agent list. I'm not reading off no list. No. TMC is free association mode. Yeah. I guess Jack Driscoll's a free agent to translate. Oh, is that? I was thinking he was bringing up where free agent. I thought because of the way he spelled it, wasn't there a quarterback with a Driscoll last name with a K in it? Like, that's what I thought I read. That's that. I thought he was talking about the quarterback Driscoll. I don't even know. I've given up on that. I don't give up on nothing. Philly is a very old city. It was built when everyone traveled on horse and wagon. These newer cities are spread out. Philly is very dense. Phoenix, Arizona is growing fast. Yeah, I would like to go out to Arizona as well. 2 weeks from now, Waste Management Phoenix Open golf event. It's like the party of the year in golf. I've always wanted to go out there for that. And if I ever go to Phoenix, Arizona, it will be during Super Bowl week when the Phoenix Open is going on, without a doubt. Party of the year. If you don't know anything about the Waste Management Phoenix Open, just Google search the Waste Management Phoenix Open and the stadium hole. Just Google search 17th hole, par 3. Just Google it. And all the beer chugging and all the partying that goes on there. Curious if anyone asked the question, what the hell happened to the team in the Eagles press conference today? Yeah, I mean, that's a question to even just in general ask. What will be asked and what will be answered? We know the Eagles, we know Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni. They're going to give you, we're going to try to be better. They're going to give you very cliche, open-ended answers today. But just as much as this is the most important offseason in Eagles last 25 years, it's an important offseason for Philly's media to ask the tough questions, ask the right questions. When you get a cliche, generic answer, does anybody have the guts to ask a tough question? And by asking tough questions, you don't have to be an asshole. You don't. A smart reporter can ask tough questions in a professional way. And I'm really pleading with Chris Franklin, Ed Kratz, Martin Frank, the guys that I love that are down there for all the press conference. ask ask firm questions. And when you don't get a fair answer, follow it up with something firm. Give us something substance. We can, if you ask the tough questions and we get the dance around answers and you follow it up and you still get a dance around answer, we can dissect that. But if we ask cookie cutter questions or we let them off the hook with their cheesy answers, then we're letting them off the hook. We need the media that are present to hold this team accountable during the press conference today. We do. We need to hold Howie Roseman accountable for his lack of, you know, how he values linebackers. We got to hold him accountable for the James Brad. Ask him, why is James Bradbury and Darius Slay the drop off from 22 to 23? Did you make a mistake, or was it a scheme, or what? Give us a real answer. Give us a real question. Howie, are you going to reevaluate how you value linebackers? Well, we reevaluate the whole team. No, I didn't ask you about the whole team. I asked you about linebackers. What are you going to do to fix the linebacker position? Well, we have confidence in the guys in the. All right. Well, if you say it multiple times, well, then we just know you're full of crap. Philly has a great part. Just got to poke around. What happened? AJ got hurt. AJ Brown got hurt at the end of the season. Yes. Seeing as how Jalen answers in nothing but cliches and there's no pushback, I don't have much faith in the media. Exactly. So, the thing is, like, when right now in this offseason, we need pushback from the media. And you can media people are scared. The people that have credentials are scared. If they ask the tough questions, they'll lose their credentials. But I think it's very, very, very easy to ask tough questions in a very professional way. Look, I don't do many interviews here. We don't have many guests on the show. But when I got my start at doing shows, all I did was interview people. And I know how to ask tough questions. And I know how to follow questions up. You listen to what you hear, and you've got to be quick on your feet to follow them up. They don't do that. They let them off the hook too easy. Live Golf New Morning Show trending in the AM. Did you purposely put 2 L's in my name? Because that's wrong. It's 1 L. And I said that would definitely go along with Phil Staple and trending in the AM. Hey, hold on. Edge of Philly, maybe I stole, the trending in the AM name from you guys because the Gobbler had AM, PM in the AM. He had AM in his name before I did. So I guess trending in the AM is a ripoff of PM in the AM, right? Sorry, Gob. I'll just call you Gob now. I'm an advocate for Howard Eskin to ask all the asshole questions. Yeah, I have problems with Howard Eskin. He says some stupid stuff on social media, but he isn't afraid to ask questions in those pressers. Problem is, isn't he paid by the Eagles? I don't know how he gets away with it because everybody else is scared. Scared to ask the question. But Eskin I just want Howard Eskin to be the only one with the microphone in the room for the press conference. Because at least he'll ask him. Problem is, we got to follow. When Eskin asks an a-hole question and we get a cliche answer, the next person with the mic needs to follow up with, that wasn't a very clear answer. What do you mean by that? Give us more. Put me, somebody out there. You want me to work for you? Put me with a credential. Put me down in the NovaCare complex. I will ask the questions that need to be asked. And I will do it in a way that won't embarrass anybody. What we need to do is we need to do like a makeshift thing. Like I need a guest sitting next to me to pretend to be Howie Roseman or Nick Sirianni, and I will ask you serious questions. I need to do that. I need to bring Chowie Kegsman back on the show. We're going to old school with that reference. Very few people know who Chowie Kegsman is, but yeah, I was Brady Joe. Phil is that guy that used to return DVDs and not rewind them. Yeah. Nice try at a joke there. It was just too cheesy, man. Alt title, since I've been putting you. Yeah. Can't have confidence in linebackers if you sign 3 guys during the season and they still were bad. He's got to be asked about his linebackers. He has to be, and you got to get it. I got to ask him: was it the wrong decision to move on from John Desai? And if he gives you a cliche, or why did you move on from Sean Desai and allow Brian or Matt Patricia to make such a drastic change? Was there any talk about giving Sean Desai another chance? Why was Brian Johnson the scapegoat? Like, what kind of confidence you have in Nick Sirianni relinquishing? Asking Sarah, are you going to relinquish? Is this being talked with the offensive coordinator? Are you going to relinquish some of the play of the offensive scheme? And if you get the answer of, well, we're going to find somebody that's going to work together, no. Are you going to relinquish some of this? Exactly. Rob might dig up some good questions. I could dig up the question, man. I can. Go fish. My guess is they will admit that demoted Desai was ill-advised and confused the defense. They should. Howard Eskin works for the Eagles. He's not asking questions. He will light up more. He does ask questions. Eskins doesn't push the Eagles like that's true. All right. So Brett and Al, you're right. He doesn't push the Eagles as much. We need Sixers Eskin in that press conference today. We need Phillies Eskin in that press conference today. Jalen Hurts is a 25-year-old football player. Those 60-year-old reporters with wisdom bully these kids. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Jalen Hurts a diva or Britton Covey just scared of human interaction. What? What are we talking about now? Jeff McClain asked the asshole questions. I don't think he really does. I think he reports and writes articles that make him seem like that tough guy. But I don't think he really asks the tough questions, or at the very least doesn't follow up with the cliche answers that he's given. He has no problem writing articles and tweeting things that make him seem like that tough guy, but I don't really see it in the meeting. Just riffing here. Where the hell? Exactly. I want to know. I haven't even gotten a message from him. He's tagged in the show. He didn't retweet the show. So I don't know. It happens sometimes. People don't show up. I'll have to change the thumbnail for the show afterwards so his face is not on it. I don't know. It happens. It happens. Howie thinks linebackers equals low budget. Well, are you going to reevaluate that, Howie? Do you see the error in your ways of what you chose to do with linebacker, moving on from TJ Edwards, moving on from Kazir White, and replacing them with Nakobe Dean and Nicholas Morrow and Zach Mayhem? Do you see how wrong that was? Well, we reevaluate everything every single year. That is not what I asked you. Now, I wouldn't say that is not what I asked you. If I asked that question, do you see that you need to reevaluate how you do that? And he says, well, we reevaluate everything every offseason. I would follow up with, I asked about linebackers. Are you going to change your philosophy and consider spending on what is a very important position this season or in the NFL now? And if he follows up with another cliche, I would then just move on. But you got it. But then by him deflecting the question twice, you know he's not going to change. You go to jail for asking questions in Canada. You actually very well might. We were promised Flyers talk. I want to talk Flyers. If you want to talk Flyers, K1, right now, unfortunately, the question has to be Carter Hart and what's going on with him. I was going to ask Bill Matz about Carter Hart versus Sam Ersson before this news broke. Should Sam Ersson even be the number one guy over Carter Hart? I was going to ask, should the Flyers be spires or sellers at the deadline? Because I think you don't want to, look, the Eagles, their retool rebuild got sped up by 2022. They weren't supposed to be Super Bowl bound in 2022. And it changed the philosophies, a lot of things on this team. Should the Flyers speed up their rebuild? Danny Briere has said, we are in a rebuild. I know we're playing great, but we are still in a rebuild. Will Flyers Nation freak out when he sells at the deadline? Because they're staying firm to the plan in place. Phil, don't answer the tough questions. Look at free agency list. I'm not looking at free agency list right now. I've looked at it. Golf talk is perfect. Covey said he was Scared to death to talk to Jalen. Did he say that? Where? Per the Inquirer. Is it per Marcus Hayes? Because Marcus Hayes has lost a lot of respect in my book. He's not quite the guy he used to be. But maybe. There's a lot of reports that a lot of people weren't happy with Jalen Hurts this year in the locker room. And that's more concerning to me than his play on the field. I think his play on the field was fine and fixable. If there's problems in the locker room and he's not approachable, and because I think that's one of the words I read about Jalen Hurts, he's not approachable in the locker room. That's a bigger problem. You need your quarterback, your leader, your top guy. Every player should feel comfortable going up to you. It's not hard to get media credentials. It's Liam being lazy. We have part-time credentials to the Eagles, but I don't write. Most of the people that get credentials are writers or are legends like Howard Eskin, who have been around the block for ages. We've got partial credentials to the Eagles. We got credentials to the Sixers. I think we might have Philly credentials. I know we have Union credentials. I need to get golf credentials for when the U.S. Open coming to Aronimink in 2026. I need credentials to the U.S. Open in 2026. This is why the Flyers are the 4th team. Yeah, they are. There's no doubt about it. Some would say the 5th team behind the Union. We all know about people not showing up. Hey, I've had it happen. It's not the first time a guest didn't show up. No show me. It happened. And Bill Matz is a good guy. I like his Flyers content. It happens. It is what it is. I've had big names not show up on me. I've had low level names not show up on me. It happens. That's why it doesn't matter, though. This show continues to go on. It's easy to go on. Get Phil, put me at every media thing, and I will knock it out of the park. Only thing is, I won't write. I'll do like short videos to talk about. This is why the Flyers are the 4th team. Their reports show up for areas. Yeah, exactly. TJ should have been reached out to. Look at his numbers, top 6 line. Look at the linebacker play. We talked about it on Monday, Dave, on this show. Looking at the linebacker play in the divisional round of the playoffs on the winning and losing teams compared to what we got from our linebacker group. Got to pay a linebacker. No more of these cheap knockoffs. If we go out there and sign another Eric Wilson this offseason as our big reach, I'll be beyond belief pissed off. K1 ain't want to talk. No one wants to talk Flyers. I do. I care about the Flyers. That Russian kid ever going to come over? In a year or two, yes. Yes, he is going to come over. Now, whether he want to play for the Flyers or not, does that other kid decide to make Philadelphia dead to him? I don't know. You were clear on your answer. Are you afraid of free agents list? I know the Eagles have a free agent list, and it's long. I don't know what you don't understand. Am I not clear? That a majority of the people that are free agents on the Eagles, it doesn't matter if they come back or not. Do we care if Jack Driscoll comes back? Do we care if Nicholas Morrow comes back? No. Do we care about backups, whether they come back? Do we care if Boston Scott's back? No. A majority of the list is either not coming back because they'll be out of price range, or B, we don't care. And then you got Jason Kelsey who's going to retire. That's it. A majority of the free agent list is pointless right now. And it doesn't matter who's coming back and not coming back until you have an offensive coordinator, until you have a defensive coordinator, and you know what kind of system and scheme you're going to be running, guys. It doesn't matter, TMC. It doesn't. There are Buffalo kids that have YouTube shows, don't write, and have locker rooms. They must have much bigger followings than I do. They must have a lot more people like their show and share their show out and subscribe to their show than I do. Just so you know. I don't. And the PSN credentials go to the writers, and that's perfectly fine. I'm perfectly fine with the writers getting the credentials. They put a lot of effort into that. Me, I just supposedly wake up and click go live and just ramble on. I mean, it is pretty much what I do. Nobody gets granted indefinite leave of absence from the core 12. Yeah. Mykoff is his name. That's right. I couldn't think of his name right off the top. He's contracted, and thanks for Freddie. I always know Freddie is always lurking whenever there's a Flyers conversation and whenever there's a wrestling reference. He's always lurking in the background, just waiting. He's signed through 2026, but I think he can come over before then. I think there's an out. I think he was originally talked about skipping 3 seasons. which would have been 23-24, 24-25. No, so yeah, 2026 is the right. But there was a story reported a few weeks after he was drafted, Freddie, that there was a chance he could get out of his contract after 1 year and come over next year. It wasn't a high likelihood, but there was an opportunity for it. And I'd be okay with that. The sooner he comes over and we get our hands on him, the better, in my opinion. I'm already bored of hockey. Stop. Hockey's a great sport. Phil, look, let me tell you something about hockey. Everyone thinks we talk football all the time. Everyone knows that I love baseball. I've probably been to more hockey games I've definitely been to more hockey games than Eagles games. I've definitely been to more hockey games than Sixers games. I've been to more hockey games than Eagles and Sixers combined. And I would say it's borderline. I've been to more hockey games in the last 25 years than Phillies games. I love hockey. Flyers are hard to talk about when they're bad, and bad for many years on end. Howie had to get 4 guys during the season to try to fix what he built on defense. Just like he signed Sue and Joseph last year. Only difference is last year it worked. Howie not lead at building defense. Well, that's the question. You need to reevaluate. Every year you seem to have to make major midseason adjustments to your defensive personnel. Why? Are you going to reevaluate what your decision-making process is? Well, we always are going to reevaluate everything. Well, what are you specifically going to reevaluate on defense, Howie? That's what I would say. And I would keep following it up. Give me 30. Let Howie sit next to me on this show. You will get more out of Howie in 90 minutes of me and him going one-on-one right here than you'll get out of all the interviews and press conferences he'll do all offseason. I guarantee it. Now, Howie Roseman wouldn't have the guts to sit opposite me on this show because he knows he would have tough questions asked. Again, very professionally, very politely. I would not call him bad names like other people would. I wouldn't trash talk him. I would ignore all the comments in the comment section that are terrible. But I think it's a good idea. I think we should start shouting out Howie on a daily basis. He needs to come here. He needs to answer to me, and he needs to answer to the fans. I would take 30 minutes straight of just questions from the fans. Polite ones, offensive ones, but I would. Howie, the fans deserve answers from Howie. They really do. I ask the tough questions. You ask questions that don't make sense sometimes. Why are superstar hockey players, who are superstar hockey players? What happened to the days of Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux? There are probably superstar hockey players right now, mister. The problem is hockey is just not what it used to be in the U.S. It's just not. It's weird. I kind of feel like, every year all sports continue to grow. MLS is growing. Hockey dropped and never regrew after one of the strikes. I forget which one it was. Problem is it's just not the same. And I don't know if this is an accurate statement or not. I started thinking about tennis when you asked this question, mister. Tennis was huge in the U.S. in the 90s because you had U.S. homegrown superstars and Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras and guys like that carried the flag for the U.S. Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux, I know they weren't U.S. citizens, but there were a lot of big time. Like, it was big in America. Now hockey is so, like, the players, you just can't attach to them. You don't feel that connection to them. Maybe it's because there's too many foreign players in the U.S. playing in the NHL. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but maybe there are. Maybe their personalities aren't big enough, so you don't gravitate towards them. But tennis is a dead sport in America right now for the most part. And you've got elite tennis players. They're just not from America. Speaking of wrestling, who wins the Royal Rumble, Punk or Cody? I will be doing a Royal Rumble segment on Friday. I will. If I had to pick, I don't know if either of them win the Royal Rumble. I don't. But if I had to pick one of them, oh, man, it would have to be Punk. Because Punk versus Seth Rollins, that's got to be WrestleMania Night 1 main event. Cody can still go win a number 1 contenders battle in the Elimination Chamber, Brett. I mean, I guess you could do the complete opposite there, have Cody win the Rumble. They've only ever let one person win the Rumble twice in a row, and that was Stone Cold, right? 96, 97, 97, 98, whatever. Is Cody on the Stone Cold level? No. So if you got to pick one of those two, it would be Punk. If I had the choice, I would create a new mega superstar and make Gunther win the Royal Rumble and have him go be the one to strip Roman Reigns, not Cody, not The Rock. I would have Gunther main eventing WrestleMania. That would just be me. But I don't get paid the right wrestling. I do know how to interview. I'm a great interviewer, man. I've had, back in the early days, I've had Trey Thomas, Ron Jaworski, Ron Motti. I've had a lot of big name guys on shows that I've interviewed. I just don't get them as much now for some reason. Interesting question, Mister. Do I make any point? Ovechkin is the last. There's got to be superstar players now. We just don't hear about them. They're not promoted. ESPN never covers hockey, and they're the official network of the NHL. I don't think either of them win the Rumble. I agree, Freddie. I don't think Punk main events either night of Mania this year, probably next year. Cody probably wins the Elimination Chamber. Yeah, I agree. I don't think either of them are. But if I had to choose one or the other, it would be Punk. That's just my opinion. Reed Sinet, who? I forgot that Howie traded for Robert Quinn last year, and that failed too. I want to answer I want Howie on this show with me. If anybody, I will pay you to find me a way to get Howie Roseman 30 minutes, whatever. But give me 90 minutes with Howie. It will be the most viewed interview of all time. Because I will ask the question. I play tennis. I'm a huge tennis. I used to be a huge tennis player. And I used to love playing tennis. I used to love watching tennis. I mean, what 90s kid didn't want to be like Andre Agassi? Y'all talk about the flu game of Michael Jordan. I talk about the flu match at the U.S. Open with Pete Sampras throwing up on center court and still winning a match. I think it was a quarterfinal match, that he was sick as can be. I love my tennis. After the 05 strike, hockey was never the same. It was the 05 one. Absolutely correct. ESPN dropped them, and they were showing games on, the Outdoor Life Network. That's right. They returned that Crosby and Ovechkin came into the league. Yeah, they just never recovered from 05. I used to really be into the NHL. I was into NHL after 05, but it started to wane. Yeah, absolutely. Seth Rollins might be out with an injury. Claims he's going to be fighting at WrestleMania. He's not going to give up the title. At least that's what I read about. How about Netflix paying the WWE, TKO Sports, $5 billion to get Monday Night Raw on Netflix? Crazy. Our guy Joey Wood is going to Tampa to cover the Royal Rumble for EAP. Shout out to Joey Wood. That's fantastic. You get me credentials for WrestleMania? Well, I already have tickets to WrestleMania. I don't need credentials to get into WrestleMania. But if you get me some, I'll take them. A lot of our good players get traded. If Joey is going, I don't know who Joey Wood is, Big Al. Have Joey reach out to me. If he's in town or he's available, I'd love to have him on the show for 20 or 30 minutes on Friday to talk about the Royal Rumble. Have him reach out to me. I'll get him on the show. A lot of good players got retired, and ticket prices went way up. Yeah. Gunther is also a guy that WWE built, unlike Punk and Cody. Exactly. I mean, he did have. We're talking Bill Matz today, so we're talking Royal Rumble and wrestling now. That's where this show has got. He was actually a pretty impressive, independent wrestler, but they changed his name and they really built him up. He really put the work in too. If you look at videos and pictures of him when he was on the Indies and in Europe, wrestling, he was a fat, chubby guy. He was still the same intense, great wrestler, but he was he didn't have the WWE look. He's got the WWE look. I think you can make him a face. I think you can make him a heel. I think you do anything with him. Imperium as a whole, that unit as a whole, is probably one of my favorite groups in all of wrestling right now, and has been for a while. Da Vinci, solid. Kaiser, amazing. Ludwig von Kaiser, great. I mean, there's some great wrestlers, great guys right there. Golf, tennis. I like a lot of the fringe sports. Ironically, Howie wouldn't come on, but Daryl's a higher chance too. Yeah. See, I would struggle, Brett, being a professional interview with Daryl Morey, but I would do it. Get me Howie Roseman on the show, people. I don't know who's got a connection. But somebody better find a way to get me Howie Roseman on this show. Like I said, I will make a donation to any one of your charities. Whoever finds the connection, your favorite charity will get a huge donation if you get Howie Roseman on this show for 90 minutes. 30 minutes, not a huge donation, a small donation. Just so you know. Tennis got boring after serve and volley got solved. Tennis got boring when the big stars left them were not from America. It's a dead sport in America. I mean, the only thing that was saving tennis in America was Serena Williams, and she's pretty much at the end of her career. I put Serena Williams in the top 10 athlete period of all time, right there with Tiger Woods. She did more for tennis than anybody. She's great, one of the greatest of all time. But there's just nobody to latch onto. Barstool taking over the Rumble, really? Now let's just rally at the baseline till someone screws up. Yeah. You watch a lot of tennis? Because I see more than just that. My first heartbreak was when I found out wrestling was fake. I spent hours playing with my WWE action figures. I can never forgive them. I don't know when I found it out it was fake. I watched a lot in the 80s and early 90s, and I stopped. And then during the Attitude Era, got back into it. And by the Attitude Era, I already knew. So I don't know how old I was when I found out it was fake. Maybe it was when I put my brother in a sharpshooter and realized it really wasn't hurting him. Jake Elliott, no, I thought he's a great golfer. I know he's a great golfer, Jake Elliott. Didn't know he was a good tennis player either. But that's because he's a kicker. Kickers aren't real football players. I'll say that to his face. I'm now an AEW fan. I was, and then TBS. It got moved to TBS. The Wednesday show Dynamite. I still watch Collision. AEW's. I need more storytelling. I like the storytelling. It's not always good in WWE, but AEW, it's just let's have banger after banger, which is entertaining, but I can't really get fully committed to it. I just can't. Rock is on the board of TKO now. He is, and guess what? His daughter just got a huge, storyline promotion in the show she's on. So go figure. The day after that's announced, Ava Raine is now the GM of NXT, and in the same day, TK, and then their stock went up 14 points, and he got the rights to his name, and she's around. F Wrestling. They're gonna start changing Ava Raine's name to Mrs. Rock now or something like that. Disco Inferno. He had a great stunner. He did the Stone Cold Stunner better than Kevin Owens. Let's talk lacrosse yeah. See, I don't know anything about lacrosse. I didn't play lacrosse growing up. There was no lacrosse team till college for me. Gunther's great and the best version of modern day monster and can go in the ring. He also has a great delivery. He sounds dry, but he's got a great delivery. Yeah, I agree. Um, Jericho, double standard. Jericho's got some problems going on. We talk about all the football players with double standards and coaches. Jericho, there's a double standard for. When I knew wrestling was fake was when my boot kicked and knocked my friend completely out and I barely touched him. No one can take the punishment. Yeah. If you want to watch a great old Johnny Carson, there's an episode of Johnny Carson from the early 80s when Hulk Hogan's on it. It was promoting Thunder Lips in his appearance in Rocky 3, not promoting wrestling. And Johnny Carson asks him about the fakeness of wrestling, and Hulk Hogan gets offended. And Hulk Hogan really, really, like you can see that Johnny Carson's a little scared about he asked the tough question. He didn't like Hulk's answer, and he really cowered. Not because he was scared to follow up, because he was scared he was going to get his ass kicked. It's a great interview. It's hilarious. It's right at the very beginning of Hulkamania. I found out wrestling was fake when someone tried to slam Virgil's head into the ring steps, and he didn't come within a foot of the step. Yeah. Always knew it was fake, never really cared. Yeah, I don't care. I still don't care that it's fake. What I care about is why people still bet it. Phil, why not spread your wings and add Rumble? Add Rumble. WWE on Netflix, we finally get more cars. We might lose the PG era of wrestling on Monday Night Raw, not on Friday. Well, Friday SmackDown's moving to USA now, isn't it? I don't know. Yeah, maybe. We still get it. Like sometimes, like I'm watching it, and my wife's sitting there reading or kind of half tuned in, and she hears a customer. She's like, "Isn't this meant for kids?" I'm like, "Yeah." Sometimes they get away with it. I don't know. Um, I don't like no attitude. Yeah, you get attitude from me, guys. I tried. I tried to give you Flyers talk today. Oh, I just got a message from him. It's too late now to bring him on. Um, We'll get Bill Matz on in the next day or two to add to the Flyers talk. Well, maybe Friday will be Royal Rumble and Royal Rumble and Flyers talk. Well, I'll get Bill Matz on. He just got back to me. No big deal. All apologies or all apologies accepted there. But we talked a lot of random stuff today. We talked Eagles. We talked Sixers very briefly, and Doc Rivers going to the Milwaukee Bucks. We added the Phillies very briefly with Reese Hoskins in there leaving. We talked Flyers a little bit. We talked wrestling. We talked golf. We talked the Saudis stealing my fantasy golf podcast. But I think the most important thing that came out of today's show is the fact that we need to start a campaign to have Howie Roseman on Trending in the AM. And I need everybody tweeting it, Instagram it, TikTok videos, Snapchat things, whatever that even is. I need everybody on board to get me Howie Roseman. I doubt, but you better believe I saw an article. I joked about this when this was announced. And I saw an article yesterday afternoon about it, that Netflix prices are going to go up. Their cheapest thing, which is like $11.95, is gone. The $15.95 level is their cheapest now. And they already said that all their prices are going to go up again. When you spend $5 billion on Monday Night Raw, expect your prices to go up. I get it for free. Yeah, we're good. AEW has been snake, but with a bunch of injuries to Kenny, Danielson, MJF, Cole. MJF be in the Royal Rumble? That's my question. I would love MJF to be the winner of the Royal Rumble. I actually think MJF's overrated. I really do. I think he's far too young for the credit he gets. But that would be a shocker right there. And Adam Cole, baby. Whenever you hear me say baby on a tweet or on a show, it's always an Adam Cole reference if you don't realize that. You do a show on YouTube, nothing changes. But in addition, you are live on Rumble. Oh, you want me to do a live stream during the Rumble? That means I would have to pay for Peacock to be able to watch it. But if I can find a way to get a free, somebody wants to DM me their login to Peacock, I will do a live stream during it, but it will only be on my personal YouTube page, which is linked in the bio of this show. So make sure you subscribe to my personal YouTube page where there's more content other than just sports and just the basic stuff that we do here on this show. If somebody sends me a Peacock, I will do a Rumble live stream on my personal YouTube page. There. I'll say it right there. But you got to send me your login, somebody. I ain't paying for Peacock. You should have interviewed Gunther for WrestleMania week. I would love. Send me his information. I'll get Gunther on here. I'll talk to the ring general. Tell him to get bent. The Butcher in AEW was a guitarist. I heard that. And I when I heard that, I looked up some videos online of him. I'm not into that hardcore band type music anymore. But college version Phil would have loved that would have loved the Butcher's music. Sting's retiring. Tell Liam it's a cert issue with the site. What is? Philadelphia didn't show up in truly. Look, we're fine, man. Me and Bill, we're on the same page. I will get Bill on later this week. We asked the tough questions. We did. We had fun today. This was not a highest viewed show. The algorithm wasn't great for the show, but Samantha Irvin. Ricochet is one lucky man. That's all we're gonna say. What was his name in before? Prince Puma is one lucky man. Everyone in WF says AJ. Yeah, I agree. I think he's already re-signed. Only Adam I acknowledge is Adam Copeland. Who? I don't know who Adam Copeland is. The rated R superstar Adam Copeland does not have the same ring. It's just weird watching him in AEW. It really is. You don't still have Peacock after that NFL playoff game? Nope. Did not watch that playoff game. Did not. Nope. The one MJF is the one to eliminate Punk. Yeah. Hey, they had a great rivalry in AEW. You want to get the most out of Punk's return? Put him opposite MJF again. You have personally. Tell us how to get it. I do. It's linked. If you look at the bio of this show, TMC, the bio of the show, there's a personal YouTube. It says Trending in the AM YouTube. I have a name that I want to make it. I just haven't come up with a logo for it yet. But I have a personal YouTube page. Plans are eventually to do more than just sports on it. Maybe some business podcasts, live stream game. That's where if I'm gonna live stream games ever, I'll do it there. So it's in the bio. Page down to the bottom of the description of the show. The bio, I say the bio. The description of the show is where it is. Your personal page isn't linked in the bio. Hold on. It's in the description. It was yesterday. I'm looking at it right now. It says, want to create a live stream? Check out StreamYard. DraftKings Sportsbook referral link. Trending in the AM YouTube page. Right there. The trending in the AM YouTube page is my personal page. Okay? Where it says trending in the AM YouTube page. That's me personally. Adam Copeland is facing Suzuki. Is he? That does nothing for me. I can't. Hulk Hogan is a massive human being. Yeah. He says he's got one more run in him. Can we super chat you? No. No, you cannot. You can super chat me, but that's not going to get me to pay. That's the personal page. Yes, trending in the AM is my personal page. I have a name for it coming up. Things I'm going to work on, but I got to get a logo built before I do that. It's going to be more than just sports on it, but this show streams on that every single day as well. It's just not a monetized page, so I can't get super chat tips on it. I can't earn YouTube revenue in it, and stuff like that. But it's in the description. Will Ospreay coming to AEW full time soon. That does nothing for me. It does nothing for me. Adam Copeland going to beat a car like Ryu in Street Fighter. Ryo, it's one of my golf picks this week. Japanese kid. I'm subscribed, number 18. There you go. Thanks. Hulk Hogan dropped the Richard. I just started it a few weeks ago. Hulk Hogan dropped Richard Belzer on his head after choking him out and headlocked down. That's enough wrestling talk. It's enough of everything talk, guys. I think we're going to start the wrap-up process here tomorrow. I don't know when we'll do Bill Matz, whether it'll be tomorrow or what's today? Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. Tomorrow the short show? No, I don't know. Tomorrow might have to be a short show, so I don't know if it'll be tomorrow. I got a big catering order pretty early in the morning tomorrow. Maybe Friday we'll bring in Bill Matz. Tomorrow's obviously going to be centered about what we do not hear from Howie and Nick today. I'm going to say it. Tell Howie, trending in the AM, he needs to come on this show to answer the questions the fans want to hear. No punches, nothing offensive, but no punches pulled. What are we going to do when AI starts making fake football games that looks like the real thing? God only knows. I do not use AI for anything. I don't trust AI at all. I've watched one too many sci-fi shows. Who likes short shows? Phil has to like short shows because Phil doesn't get paid enough money to do this, okay? This is not a full-time job. This is a hobby. All right? That's it. Yeah, I make a few bucks doing it, but this is a hobby. The business, the pizza shop, is where the money is, okay? I guarantee you, Renee Washington will show up next week. Guarantee it. And I can't wait for that. We are going to go, I'm going to call it Around the Horn with Renee Washington. Okay, yeah. If Liv's going to steal my golf name, I'm going to steal the ESPN show's name. Around the Horn with Renee Washington. We're going to talk Union, Phillies, Flyers, Eagles. So I'm going to ask her a question on all 5 teams in Philadelphia. We only got like 25, 30 minutes of her time. Terminator tells you everything about AI. I'm done. I don't want anything to do with AI. I don't. Guys, we're going to wrap it up right there. Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. Shout out to Bill Matz for not coming on, but being very honest in the private chat that he just screwed up, made a mistake. It's all good. We will fix that. We will get him back on. We will try to bring Flyers back into the conversation. Maybe it's a good idea. We wait on Bill Matz anyway until more information comes out on Carter Hart, Danny Briere speaking to the media. We know he will be honest as he can be. You'll get more out of Danny Briere talking than Howie Roseman for sure. She's the best. Tell her I said that. Not a creepy way, obviously. Creeper. I'm not even a Union guy, but I love watching her and JP, El Parcero, talk Union. That's a great duo. They do such great work. Telling you, no. When she's on, y'all better behave. Checking to hold Bill accountable. Yeah. Guys, everybody have a great day. Hope to see y'all in here tomorrow. We'll be talking Eagles tomorrow. 99% sure it's going to be all Eagles. And it's not a guarantee that it's a short show tomorrow. Just my wife's car's in the shop. If it's not fixed today, then we got to go in together to do a large catering order. So it is what it is. El Parcero's. I love JP. El Parcero. He doesn't go by El Parcero anymore because he's big time with PHLY. He's got to go by JPP now. It's all good, my man. I love him. He just can't come on anymore because of his work schedule. Because I've asked him to come back on. He's been on this show many a time. Um, anyway, guys, have a great Wednesday. See you guys tomorrow. Enjoy. Get those bets in for the Farmers Insurance Open. Get it all, guys. Everybody have a great day. For Philadelphia Sports Network, I am Phil Stiefel. We'll talk to you tomorrow. And I know we talked all things today, but it's always one thing. Go Birds.